Welcome to the Your Entrepreneurship School podcast, or as I like to call it, the Yes Podcast. My name is Bridal Babes. I'm an executive business consultant for women who dream of living wildly and wealthy abroad. The Yes Podcast is for women who are ready to build a business that funds her dream life abroad so she can expand her business, bank account, and brilliance without settling for a life that tames her wildness. The Yes Podcast is sponsored by Bridal Babes Yoga, a Luxe start to your celebration. Ready to elevate your bachelorette or hen-do weekend with something truly unforgettable? My Bridal Babes Yoga experiences are crafted with intention, movement, and connection because you deserve more than just the usual. Immerse yourself in a soulful, joy-filled session designed exclusively for you and your crew. Whether you crave a restorative morning flow, a themed class with playful energy, or a heart-centered practice to set powerful intentions for this next chapter, we'll curate a dreamy experience that feels as radiant and one-of-a-kind as your love story. What to expect? Thoughtfully curated playlist, essential oil-infused head massage, a pause to breathe, move, laugh, and connect with the optional add-ons of tarot card reading, astrology chart reading, and friendship bracelet making. This isn't just a yoga class. It's a radiant start to your weekend, an unforgettable moment of luxurious relaxation and joy before the confetti. Let's make magic for your bridal crew. To book a Bridal Babes Yoga class, you can go to brittamarita.com/bridal-babes-yoga or find our link in the show notes. Hello, lovely Ana. Welcome to the Yes Podcast. I am so grateful you are here because you are just one of my soul friends and someone who, I call you a soul friend because I feel that we connect with each other on a soul level. We see each other's souls. And I really wanted you to come onto the podcast because, in my opinion, and whoever else knows you's opinion, you are just so open and honest when it comes to how we show up into our businesses and in our lives from an abundance perspective. And that's really what I want to chat about today. But before we dive deeper into that, can you please introduce yourself as well? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And as I shared before we got recording, I'm just coming in with this like fresh new energy, so super pumped to be here. So my name is Ana Jones, born and raised in Mexico. I feel like I always love sharing that for people who don't know where I'm from because I'm very proud to be Mexican. And I'm calling myself, I go by the Bliss Facilitator these days, and I feel like I can't take that away because now people know me as Ana Bliss. So I'm like, all right, I guess it stays. And so I basically help entrepreneurs and creatives build an amazing life. And it's a life that feels as good as it looks. So oftentimes, people struggle. I didn't know that people were struggling with just kind of keeping up with the Joneses, appearances, like, oh, I got to pretend like I'm not struggling in my business or in my creativity or in my whatever that's going on in my life. And so, I feel like I've been very honest and open, like you said, about certain things that just happen in life. And the more we talk about it, the less stigma there is around it. So basically doing my best to normalize the human experience, just being human and what happens so that we don't have to feel like the highs are so highs and the lows are so lows. So there's a little bit less of a gap between those two, and we can live kind of in a regulated state. Of course, that's not possible all the time, but for us to feel more safe within the container that we're currently existing in. So that's a little bit more in depth than what I usually share, but I feel like it's important given that your audience is a yes audience. When we say yes, we're expanding into the edges of our fears and our limitations. And so we're rubbing up against what triggers us the most. And so if we didn't have these fears and limitations, there would be nothing holding us, right? We would be just this little ball of consciousness floating around. So that to me is quite interesting and fascinating to learn because, we're constantly going to come across these fears and limitations if we're in the world of, I want to expand. I want to grow. I want to say yes to the next thing.
Thank you for sharing all of this. I love how you brought up the word yes, because it's a very important word that has helped me get to where I'm at today. I've heard and I've been taught and conditioned to say no to so many things. And I kind of just like got in this practice of like, what happens though when I say yes? Like, because I just didn't know. I'm like, what could happen if like we just show up saying like, yes, universe, like I am here for this, even if it scares me, even if it like makes my stomach flip like butterflies. Like, what happens when we say yes? And like, I've got to create like a career globally because I just kept saying yes. And it doesn't mean that like we don't ever say no or like we can't have boundaries, but it's like when we say yes to things, the things that are not meant for us begin to fall away. And that's how I view it. And I love just like how, first of all, you shared where you are from. And thank you for sharing that. Like, as someone who has like traveled all over the world, I feel like we kind of like tend to like attach ourselves to like things that we think we are. And I'm like, no, like I'm proud of where I'm from. And like we need to like really honor our roots because like that's what keeps us here on the earth and on the ground. So first of all, thank you for sharing that. I love how you just like you're on this like super high from this amazing poetry experience that you had yesterday. And I would love for us to just like, let's just like dive into the deep end and talk about like, as two women business owners and just like business owners in the spiritual wellness coaching industry. First of all, like how to show up with integrity for ourselves and our clients. And some of, I don't know if I want to call it hurdles, but some of the things we have been, I want to say, forced to move through so that we can get into this like abundance mindset and like this place in our business and in our lives where we are fully trusting in ourselves. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously like a very loaded question, right? Because we can spend the entire rest of the weekend here talking about this. I think that life is very simple, yet it is very complex. And so this is like the beautiful paradox of being alive. It's like, yes, and then a no comes around and it's like, oh, okay, so we're playing around with that. I want to touch a little bit about what you were saying to say yes, to saying yes to you because all like you were constantly in the no. I think that as an entrepreneur, as a whatever, like a partner, a sister, a daughter, whatever you know, whatever labels else you want to slap on there or identities you want to slap on there. I think the more you say yes to you and what you want, that's where the expansion, like, you know, you're going in the right place, right? Like, you know that you are honoring, like, you're being in integrity with yourself because you're saying yes to things that are important to you. This doesn't mean that you're a narcissist, that you're selfish, blah, 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 like all these terms that we like to slap around and throw around, right? It just really, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It just means that, like, we are aware of what we desire in life. And, you know, I was sharing with you that I am super lit up from this. I guess it was like I don't know, I can't call it workshop. I guess a meetup that I went to yesterday. And there were a couple of women that were sharing, you know, about like their divorce and, you know, how they felt like they got lost in the relationship. And I think a lot of times it's, you know, it's so easy to get distracted or just go down a route that, you know, like the expert on Instagram is telling you to post 3 times a day because that's the way that you're going to go viral, or whatever it is that you hired and whatever to do, right? I think that if you're going to hire someone, hire somebody that understands what your vibe is. And if you don't know what your vibe is, figure it the fuck out, right? Like, if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you do want, then at least know what you don't want. So when you see things that you don't want, you're like moving in the direction of like, oh, I don't want this. Let me move, you know, to the opposite direction. And then eventually you'll be like, I do want this. I do want this. I do want this. And so going back to, you know, the couple of women that were going through divorce and stuff, it's, to me, I think we all can get lost in moments in time and periods in our life. But I love this phrase that my mom told me, and it stays with me, and it really grounds me. It says, you are always you. So you are always you when you're lost in a relationship, when you are out having a drink with a friend, when you are having coffee and working, when you are waking up, when you're taking a dump. Like, you're always you, you know, like it doesn't change. It's just like you are discovering new parameters. You are expanding into more than you knew was possible. And so, of course, you know, we find these people who are at the same frequency as our limitations and our fears. But then when we start to expand, we sometimes lose these people if they don't want to come with us, right? Because we've realized, hey, I've been kind of keeping myself in a shell because I thought that's what you wanted and I wanted to please you. And so now I realize that I don't want to live that way anymore. Are you like, I'm gonna, shine my light or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Do you want to come along with me and like see me, witness me, feel me as I go through this experience? And not everyone will say yes. But I think that if you say yes to yourself, then the rest will just follow. The thing is, sometimes people are afraid. People are paused, like paralyzed, frozen by fear. And that's not to say that I don't ever feel fear. I feel fear very often, especially now that I, found this amazing man in my life. That was like one of the most important things in my life to be with someone that I could call a partner. That's when like shit starts to get real and you're like, if I lose this person, what the fuck would I do? So, there's always fears, like, you make more money. Oh my gosh, it's somebody like every level is just like, brings up fear. So imagine if we were just like, oh, I'm scared. I'm just going to pause and not do anything. And I don't mean pause like to ponder. I mean pause in like a way of like frozen and stop in my tracks and not do anything because it's just too scary. I don't think that that's the way to go in my perspective. And that's never how I navigated life. And so I think, a big believer in like, okay, like yes to me and doors open.
I love what you shared about your mom being like you are you. And I just couldn't resonate with that more. And if you were someone, I love how you mentioned like the women going through divorce and they feel like they lost themselves in that relationship. And I'm someone who like, I get lost in my business because I love it so much. So like, I want to be clear, like you get lost in anything. Like, girl, there's wonderlands everywhere. But like, something I do to like really remind myself of who I am in those moments where I'm just like in another world is I'm a very visual person and I create vision boards and I have it as my phone background and as my laptop background. And I know that sounds like very just like basic, but I put my favorite colors in there and my favorite places and the people I love and the practices I love because I'm someone who really needs those reminders of you love astrology. You love yoga, like go practice yoga, girl. Go study astrology today. Go do things that like light you up because I think it's really easy to forget or like to put ourselves way on the back burner as we're trying to please someone else or be in a world with someone else. And I really want to talk about like people pleasing as well. Like there's so much to just like unpack of what you shared, but you mentioned just like because you want to please someone. And I think in business we do that a lot too. Oh, I just want my client to be happy. Have you ever gone to a yoga class or any type of like exercise class and you are not always happy in those moments, I'm never happy when I do cardio. I'm like, fuck this, I hate cardio. But maybe at the end of the run or at the end of the practice, I'm feeling a little bit better. So do you have any tips for like, people who feel the need to please to the point that they're just completely throwing themselves away or just not because they would just want to be perfect for someone else rather than stepping into their truth, into their strength?
Yeah. I heard once that being a people pleaser is one of the most manipulative things that we can do in life. And I was like, that's fascinating. Tell me more. And so of course I, started to dive in a little bit more with this person. It's, we're in the chase of the approval. We're in the chase of me like cater to everyone so that I can be perfect and everyone can like me, which we all know is like, a crock of shit because like it's impossible. Like there are 8 billion people in the world. Are you fucking kidding me? Like no way. So yeah. So like here we are, on the hamster wheel of like people pleasing and doing everything for everyone else. And then we're like, we don't even notice that our gas tank is empty. We don't even notice that we're running on fumes. We don't notice that we're like not eating healthy or like not even sleeping well. Like all of these like red flags start to appear and we're completely ignoring it because we're so desperate for approval. We're so desperate for love, right? And so I would say if this is something that you're currently dealing with, what I've found to be the most helpful, without sounding like too woo-woo or whatever, inner child work. I think that that's where it's at. I really believe that is where it's at. Like parenting and taking care of that, in my case, little girl that just didn't get the love that she needed to get, because our parents will never love us the way that we needed to be loved.
Yeah.
And our partners will never love us in the way that we need to be loved, right? Like, they are not mind readers. They have needs themselves. And so we've gone to a day and age, and our friends and our family members, like, it is just impossible for everyone to cover our needs, and it's not their responsibility. So I think people pleasing is still a very immature way of living life.
Yeah.
And I was there, for a very long time, and I think that was the time where I felt like I was less in my body, less living from my desires, from my dreams, from what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be. And I realize now that I'm actually a person who enjoys simplicity. I thought I was much more, complicated and different. And I was like, no, I'm actually like kind of basic, and I like that. Like, yes, I'm deep and I don't take shit and whatever, but I'm pretty basic, and I like that, because going back to the basics really keeps me grounded. It is really helpful for me, because I don't get stuck in the texture and like the story of things. I don't need to analyze every single situation, every story, every person's event, whatever, right? Like, it's not peaceful for me. It doesn't really serve me. And I really think that if you can just go one step at a time and hold yourself with a lot of compassion, with a lot of grace, you will find, the path. And there is no way you can fuck it up. There is no wrong way. Just start and kind of like grab your little backpack and, your little, what do you call that, hiking stick, and just start trekking.
For those of us who might not know who our inner child is or how to get into that, because I've had so many people be like, you got to do the work. And I'm like, what the fuck is the work? It took me years, because I used to be such a black and white person that I would take it so literally. So for those of us who like, the work is working, let me just say, for those of us who are new to this whole inner child thing, what is that? Like, give me a definition for a 5-year-old.
So I need to work on these definitions for 5-year-olds. I think the way that I was playing inner child, and of course my brain is saying, well, you can't explain it to a child because they are in it. They are a child. Like, they are the child. So of course,
someone in their 20s, maybe someone who's like legally an adult but still a child.
Okay, so I would say you think you're 20 years old, but in reality, there are different parts of you that get activated as you move through life. So when we move through life, we experience different moments, different events that marked us, that shaped us, that have made us who we are and make us believe what we believe of the world, of ourselves, et cetera, et cetera. And so at different ages, different things happened that, because they shaped us in this way, it's our responsibility to, when we feel like a friend hurt us, or when somebody said something mean, quote unquote, or when somebody did something that we consider wrong, that is the moment where we go inwards. Inwards means in to check our bodies. And so when I go inwards, I close my eyes and I'm just saying, what do you need from me? And in that moment, a lot of people really get in their heads of like, am I doing it right? I don't know what age I'm in. It doesn't matter. It's like everything comes forward because it's you. And because it is you, it doesn't matter what comes forward. It's perfect. Like, that's exactly what needs to happen. And so it happens differently for everyone, but the way it's been for me, and at least for my clients, is, we close our eyes, and then it's like, how old am I? Okay, I'm 4 years old. Okay, what happened? What is the correlation between me 4 years old and the situation that my friend said? Well, when I was 4 years old, my mom said that made me feel like I was inadequate, or that I wasn't enough, or that, like, those are the main wounds, right? I was abandoned, I'm not enough, I'm too much. Like, those three can kind of like sum up everything that we feel. And so when we realize that yes, of course you can have that conversation with your friend if it keeps on happening, but if you resolve it within you and just like, oh, that's just how she is, and she didn't do it on purpose, she just didn't realize that she was hurting me. But if you have that conversation with a friend and it's an over and over and over and over thing, like it's a repetitive thing with a friend, with a partner, with a family member, whatever, then that's when you get to choose, like, okay, this person, I get it. I get it that it's not like their responsibility, but if they love me, wouldn't they want to be supportive of what, makes me feel better? And not in a way of like they owe it to me, but just like for me as a friend, if somebody told me, hey, Anna, I don't know, let's say I call someone Wink Wink, and they tell me, Anna, I don't want to be called Wink Wink. It like triggers the fuck out of me when I was young. And it has happened to me, actually. I've had two friends that come up to me and like, hey, I don't want you to call me this nickname. And of course I get pissed, right? Because I'm like, fuck, man. I've been calling you this for like decades. Now you tell me that you don't like your fucking nickname. Like, what the fuck? I don't tell them that, but I have my own process, And I'm entitled to get pissed off. Like, I'm entitled to my emotional experience. And of course I say, got it, no worries, what would you like me to call you? And I'm not even going to go into that piece because I feel like that piece is like a whole other episode. But it's really just meeting the person where they are. And then, okay, I was triggered by that. Why? Because it's a change. Because you're telling me that all this time what I've been doing has been bothering you. And I've been thinking that we've been bonding. And so I've been, like, in my head, right? Like, that's the story. And I've been living a fucking lie because I've enjoyed this bond and this friendship so much. And here you come at me with this fucking bullshit. All these things, right? And that reminds me of the time when I was little and my mom told me, or my dad said, or my teacher told me. And it's just literally that. Like, yeah. Our friends, our family members, the world is literally showing us where we still have not healed these parts of us and why we are still reacting to the world around us instead of pausing, getting curious, and then choosing where we want to come from. Because my friend is not responsible for my emotional reaction. That's for me. The mess stays with me. But then when I have a clean up version, when I have a headspace to come forward and say, listen, okay, I got you. And if anything ever bothers you again, please let me know. I don't want to be, calling you something that you're like not liking, but that's their people pleasing too. So you see how it's just,
it's a two-person thing. I love how you said you have to meet people where they're at and you have to meet yourself where you're at. And that is a hard truth sometimes as well, or it's an easy one. It just depends on the moment of the day.
The time of the cycle.
Yeah, the time of the cycle, exactly. There are days where you can and days where you don't fuck with that. But I really agree with you with that. Like you've been with someone, whether it's like a friendship, a family member, a relationship, and like suddenly something you've been doing for like years, they're like, don't do that anymore. And it's almost like it's a muscle memory you have to like undo or like practice not doing. It's a hard one and I get that. And thank you for breaking down what it means to work with your inner child and like who and what our inner child is for those of us who don't know it. Like I caught myself doing that. Like I started having panic attacks in train stations in Paris because I couldn't figure out how to get out because like you go down this way and then it takes you further and further down and I caught myself, I'm like, oh, this is a trigger moment from like when this happened and like I had to like break it down with my mindset coach and now like I fully understand how to navigate it, but like I'm 31 years old and still experiencing these things. So just know that it's a life thing. Even when I'm at the end of yoga, I find myself in this sometimes. That's where that has lived for 30 years. Wow. And having a practice that can really teach us where something has lived versus also other people telling you this is what this means in the body. That's actually not necessarily true for everyone. From a chakra standpoint, from how our body works, because we've all been through different things in life. So it's knowing that too. I would love to navigate into being women business owners and how you and I have just witnessed scarcity within ourselves and scarcity within others and how we are choosing to show up as women business owners and as business owners in the wellness, coaching, spiritual industry. I will start. So yesterday or the day before, sometime this week, we were chatting how I went to a nail salon and I love getting my nails done. I love luxurious things. And I love the color pink. You can see it here. I got these nails. And before I knew I wanted this color, I'm like, oh, this is my color. And then The nail lady was like, no, you can't get that because it's 15 euros extra. And she pulls out literally 150 other colors for me to look at. And I started looking at them because I didn't like fully understand why I couldn't have it in the first place. I was like, I like that color pink. I really want that. And then I just like chose because someone else told me I can't have that. And I found myself in the middle of it being like, no, I want that color. That color makes me happy. I don't care that it's 15 euros extra. And I looked at her and I was like, I'll pay 15 euros extra. I want this color because like it makes me happy and it makes me feel more confident. And I love sparkling and shining. Therefore, I'm going to choose this. And I feel like a year ago me, or even anyone who was like younger than me, would not have chosen that for myself. I would have let, first of all, someone outside of me choose what I want, and I wouldn't want to invest in myself. People use the word splurge, and I actually don't see that. This is an investment in myself because like it makes me feel good, and it's 15 euros. Like it will be okay. Can you talk a little bit about just like how you have experienced this within yourself, but also like how you work with people when you witness it within them? Like scarcity to stepping into our abundance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a forever practice, especially when you come from, I would say, like, the background is very telling. You know, the background really tells a lot, and it comes out in, you know, the person's like everyday behaviors. And I'll share mine, and, you know, of course, like whenever I have people that are working with me, we have similarities, right? So that's why I know how to help them. That's why I know how to guide them, because I was like, oh yeah, I was there yesterday, or I was there last year. Oh, this is interesting. I'm in this right now, and like this is what I'm doing. Try this, right? So I think for this, it really is a practice, and it's having just awareness around, okay, like this is a choice of scarcity, which for those of you who aren't familiar with like the word scarcity, is like when you believe that there is only a limited amount of resource or like to circulate around the world, whether it be food, money, energy. Like the truth is there is abundance all the time. We just live in a reality where we're not being shown that. But if everybody was on the same frequency with this whole thing of like, we are so fucking abundant, we would not be living in a world where we live in. But that's why we live in this world, because we were bored as fuck, you know, and then we're like, we want to go experience some shit. Let's go to Earth. And here we are, of course, right? So yeah.
Let's go to Earth. God help us all.
Yeah, exactly. I want to go experience some fucking chaos. Let's go. So anyways, but so so when you realize, and like I really love reading books about money and about like energy, and I mean, abundance is not just money, it's, you know, everything. It's having more than enough. It's like knowing that you always have enough and more than enough, right? Like if you believe in abundance, that you could believe in overflow, and this is that you're fully supported, right, by God, universe, life, whatever you want to call it. And so they're complete opposites. And for me, I found it's like scarcity is fear, abundance is love. And so for me, there are only two ways to live life. It's either you're in scarcity or you're in love. I don't really think that there's anywhere in between. I haven't found that yet. And so these choices that we make, like you said, are very simple. It's like if you're the coupon lady, if you are somebody who is like, who goes out to eat like fast food, and you have extra packets of ketchup, ranch, all that shit, you take that home. You take the napkins, you take the things, because it's like you never know when you're gonna need them, right? And so it's like, in case of an emergency, in case of this, in case of that, you go to a hotel and you're like, I'm gonna take the creams, I'm gonna take the shampoos, I'm gonna take like all the, you know what I mean? Like, what's one thing if you really love, like, oh my gosh, the lotion from this hotel, it's amazing, I'm gonna take it, and I just love wearing it on my hands. That's one thing. But if you're like taking everything all day and you're just like shoving it in your suitcase, that's kind of like a little bit of a survival mechanism right there. And those are like little things, right? When you're thinking like, I'll buy this in case. Something I recently, a few months ago, I picked up on this habit that I've developed, because this is like I inherited this. Like I saw this growing up from my dad, was like buy like 2-3 of the same items, because like they're on sale, you know, you never know. Right now you can find them, tomorrow you don't know. So I caught myself, right? And my boyfriend is not like that at all. He is very much like, we still have shampoo, still, we still have detergent. And I'm like, but it's going to run out soon. And he's like, we still have detergent. We still have shampoo.
Calm down.
Like, calm the fuck down. He says, calm. And I'm like, you're right, And so this is why I think it's also really helpful to they say like who you marry or who you're in relationship with romantically is one of the most important decisions of your life. And I agree, because it is who you're surrounding yourself with almost 24/7. So he helps me kind of come out of the space of that programming that I had. And so I get to make choices from a place of abundance of like, I can come back to the grocery any fucking time. It's okay. And if I don't find this product, it means that a better product is coming for me. If I don't find it on sale, it means that, guess what? I can, circulate, I can invest 2 more euros, 5 more euros, however much, more it is, or maybe it costs less. Like, who knows, right? But it's almost like letting life surprise you and trusting that you can afford it.
Exactly. And I would love to share the opposite of this because I'm someone who gets rid of everything. I live with very little, and it's also because I'm very nomadic, and I don't like carrying around heavy things. And I'm someone who has a hard time receiving. And this is the exact same thing. Like, rather than buying a million of everything, I freak out when I see people take all the shit from the restaurants and the hotels. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it. And then my mom, well, because I don't live in America, so she brings all the goodies from America and she'll gift it all to me. And I'm like, you can take half of it back. I only want this stuff. And I'm like, Britta, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And this is who I am because I don't like having stuff. And my mom will have to save things that are mine because she'll know years later that I'll want it and she'll have to hide it from me because I'm so just not wanting to receive. And that's also scarcity. That is not abundance. And I want to share the other side of that because I know there are more of me out there. How your partner navigates grocery shopping and also how our partner is one of the best decisions and choices in our life because in my opinion, whether you are in relationship or you have a really close friendship or even in your family, they are mirrors for how we show up in life. And I think it's really hard to look at ourselves. So the universe will sometimes put someone in our life to get looked at. We need to take a deep look. Thank you for sharing all of that. I would love to even discuss like how this shows up in business, like because like how we do one thing in life is how we do everything. Can you share examples of like, it doesn't even have to be within your business, but how you have witnessed it in the industries that we are in of how people navigate in fear versus love?
Yeah, first thing that comes up is like when people are like discounting their services, not in a way where you're excited and you're in a space of gifting, like generosity. I think that's a different vibe. I think it's more when it's like I don't know. I feel like I can feel it from people when it's like, oh, like this is really cool versus like, oh, I really need to get clients because you can tell. I don't know. For me it's been very noticeable and I'm just like, oh, okay. I think also the way people speak says a lot. The way that they refer to money, the way that they refer to people, to things. I personally do not use the word expensive. I don't use it. I don't like it. And when people, of course, when people around me say it, my skin just, and of course I'm just like, Ana, they get to believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. Like, just because they say this doesn't mean that you have to, make it part of your reality. That and so many other things that, you and I have talked about as well. Yeah. And so I think even that piece, right? Like, how am I, okay, this person is saying expensive, it's triggering me. How am I still living in scarcity?
Wow.
Because that's what they're showing me. And so for me, what I've noticed is when I believe, and this is kind of like a little bit more like a bubble thing versus like a specific example.
Sure.
You asked for a specific example,
okay.
But like this is for me like a more of a bubble. Like I think it encompasses more. For me, whenever I'm in the belief or I'm in the story that I cannot have what I want because my external reality is I'm believing that my external reality is so different and so diverse than my desire, or so far away from my desire that I don't get to get it because of the diversity that exists out there, then I'm in scarcity. Does that make sense, or do I need to reframe it?
This totally makes sense. And this is, I love that you brought this up because I don't use the word expensive either. I am so abundantly delusional that, oh, I'm just going to make it happen for myself. Like that.
Yeah.
This is not expensive. It's just, I'm not getting it today and I will get it by this date. And I really believe that is the mindset I live in. And I see this a lot in my clients. My clients are retreat hosts, yoga studio owners, and it's like you can see the scarcity get in their throat. Like that's physically where I see it, and that's where all the emotions live for them. And they're like, I could never price my retreat this way. I could never sell a yoga class at this rate because no one can afford it. It's too expensive. My first like real job was being a retail manager in New York City when I was a broke college student. And even though I couldn't afford the things in the shop that I worked at, celebrities would walk in and buy things. And it really opened my eyes that just because something is not within my mindset and my quote unquote material bracket, it does not mean it's not available for others. And that's how I see business. Just because it's not available for me today doesn't mean it won't be available for me tomorrow. Notice how I use the word available. I'm not crossing myself out at any of that. It will be available, maybe not today, and it still will be available. And I really try to view it that like just because I think it's this way doesn't mean it's not like this for others or that it is. And I think it's really choosing to surround ourselves with people who have more money than us, or who not even money, but have more belief than us to inspire us to get into that vibrational level. And that's something, it makes me highly uncomfortable. And I really choose to do that because I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be the most abundant version of myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we call, wealth mindset.
Yeah.
Which is not just about like, money itself, but like it's the creating a life that just feels so fucking good that, you can't help but love your life and wake up every single day and be like, fuck, when I have the best life ever. And, I have this friend that, she's a note taker. And
I love that.
So I love that too. And so she takes notes about like things that I tell her whenever she, whenever she's going through something or whatever. And she's like, Anna, I'm going to tell you something that you told me a while back. She's like, what if you've already won? And I was like, fuck, like I said that, like that's fucking
deep,
badass, man.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that if we can get into this like experience of like, I've already won, I'm fucking here.
Yeah.
Out of all the combinations, out of all the possibilities, like here I am on this planet, having like with the possibility of creating a life that I love. Is it going to be the easiest thing in the world at the beginning? No, of course not. Because you already come with a wiring, you come with patterns, you come with programs, you come with traumas and like all the stuff that's been inherited. I don't even know how that fucking works because like to me, sometimes I just start thinking about like, how does the soul like, in the body and the soul, I'm like, how does this pass? And so at one point I'm just like, I'm gonna stop. Because there's no like, we don't have any tangible evidence of like how it is inherited. We just know it's passed down, right? We just know that it's like our brain picks it up. We just know that, these things just happen. And so I think for me, I really think that our superpower is we get to decide. We get to decide if we want to be broke, if we want to be rich, if we want to be wealthy. What wealth is for you. Your parameters. You get to decide what abundance is for you. You get to decide who to love, who to surround yourself with, everything, right? I don't believe that there's anything as like, oh, I didn't have a choice. We all have a choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is scarcity when you choose to not have a choice. Like that, I don't put up with that. Absolutely not. Like, you have a choice. I also love what you shared about like how things in our family are passed down to us, whether we have scientific proof or not. And I want to say that that is a choice in the fact that you can choose to focus on all the quote unquote bad things that were ancestrally or traumatically passed down to you. And you can also focus on the really beautifully magical things that were passed down to you. Like it doesn't have to all be one-sided. You can, like, two things can be true at the same time. Like, yes, you can acknowledge, like, wow, like, I definitely got that from, like, that grandparent and my mother and now me. And it's like, it's recognizing that and, like, okay, but, like, what are the really beautiful things I got from them too that, like, I'm so grateful for, that, like, make me a beautiful person, that make me the person I want to be. And, like, choosing to live, like, which wolf are you feeding? Which house are you going to live in? And that's a choice.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if the video is going to be on as well, but you can see me like yawning. When I yawn, that's like me like integrating and processing things. That's what
Totally.
I do. And sometimes I tell people like I'm
There you go.
not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as you're saying this, I'm yawning because it's so true. It's so true. A lot of times we think as trauma or like inherited stuff, it's just like, oh, why did I this, whatever. But like, yeah, a lot of beautiful things were passed on to us. We just refuse to focus on the things that aren't as, as yummy, as delicious. And, because I believe that the majority of us, and just to say not all of us, are wired for struggle. It's that tendency, right, of like being on the lookout and being alert and constantly wanting to go into like fight or flight. But when you have that awareness, I think that you can choose. I believe you can choose. I
Yes.
know that you can choose. I've done it. I've helped, a bunch of people do it as well. Like, and it's really, really beautiful when we witness other people doing it, because if they can do it, that means that you can too. There's no special formula, or, it's not like just a certain amount of people are spared from X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, it's available to you. And I have a friend who is very, like, he loves like living in this box, and he's like, women should behave this way, men should behave that way, very much like that. So yeah, we have a lot of, I don't clash anymore with him, because I'm just like, whatever, that is who he is. But I like to kind of poke him now. I enjoy the poking. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And so he would say, do you think that we all have the capacity to have success in our lives, whatever your definition of success is? And I said, yeah, I absolutely believe it. And he's like, I don't agree. And I was like,
Cool.
it doesn't matter if you agree or not. Like, yeah, like you can have your own, that's the beauty of
Your
life, right?
opinion.
Like,
Yeah.
exactly. You can believe whatever you want to believe. And that's why you have the life that you have, right? And he does have a pretty, I don't want to say sad life, but just a very tormenting life. He's very hard on himself. There's a lot of struggle with one area in his life in particular, and I'm like, yeah, I don't, I think we have conversations like very honestly, and I am very honest with my friends. I'm like, yeah, that's why you have this in your life, because that is what you believe. And so I think that it can be challenging to look at ourselves and be like, oh, I've been thinking this way, and this is why my reality is reflecting back to me X, Y, and Z. But that's the reason. That's the reality of these facts, right? Like, you are constantly building this reality. Like, if you think, you can be thinking that a friend didn't text you back because X, Y, and Z, and you create this story, this chaos, you get knots on your back and all this shit, and the girl was like, had diarrhea and couldn't get off the fucking toilet. You know what I mean? Like, we always make it about us, and it really isn't. So yeah, I don't know how I got here, but it really is this, like, if you don't believe in unlimited possibilities, if you don't believe that life is happening for you, if you don't believe that there are always opportunities opening for you, then yeah, that's why you are living a limited life.
I would love to provide like a tool for people who are living in this limitation or in this scarcity. And this is something, and this is so weird, and I promise it works, is when you believe, when people tell you, oh, the economy is bad, or like, you don't have enough money for this, and you just start like swallowing these lies. I want you to look up a random person's GoFundMe page and see how much money people donate to it. And I know that's the weirdest thing, but that GoFundMe's show me that like abundance is possible no matter what. I don't give a fuck what people say the economy is. I don't give a fuck the lies you were told about money and abundance. I just want you to go look at that, and I want you to see how people have made $100,000 when their goal was like 4,000. So if GoFundMe's can do it, why the fuck can't you do it? Because it's a choice. So go look at GoFundMe pages and just see all the abundance that is available to you. That's something that inspires the shit out of me. I'm like, oh, if this person can raise money for whatever reason, I can make this much money in my business because the abundance is out there. That is proof right there.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I'd never, ever, ever, ever thought about that. Something that came to mind when you were talking, and of course, this is very relatable to you, like Taylor Swift.
I love her.
Like you can't say that, she is somebody who goes by like the economy or whatever. I feel like people will like sell a kidney to fucking go see her. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that just like when you want something, you make it happen. I mean, hope nobody
Exactly.
has, but you know what I'm talking about. And I would say things that you can do to move in that direction, stop watching the news.
Yeah.
I always tell people, always tell clients, always tell people who are just like, if I meet them like once in a lifetime and I'm never going to see them, I'm like, stop watching the news, especially
Yes.
if you are somebody who is constantly in an anxious state.
Yes.
If you're somebody who is always like going back to that, like it's almost like a drug. It becomes
Yes.
a drug now. Like wake up first thing in the morning, news. Last thing you see in the evening, news. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you know what
Absolutely
you're
not.
doing to your nervous system? Like, what the fuck, man? It's insane. And so even like thrillers,
Oh yeah, I don't watch that.
horror movies,
Nah.
like stuff like that, if your body can't handle it, don't fucking watch that shit. Like,
Exactly. Yes.
I think we really got to be more, strict in what we allow into our stream of consciousness. And the consciousness is really like what we know, our
Yes.
knowledge of the world and of everything up until now. What says it's like the patterns that we have of life up until now. And so
Yes.
the more we expand our consciousness, the more patterns of things we have. And I was like, that's kind of cool to think of it in like a very, very like mathematical or kind of like geometrical aspect. So if you're more of a type of person of just like, oh, patterns, what patterns do I need to expand in this area of my life.
I love that you shared don't watch the news. I have blocked all news outlets on all of my social media. I can't see them unless I go to Google them. And I do this on purpose because I don't need to fucking see this. I don't need to go on social media and see any bad things that are happening. And also, who is paying them to say these things that are most likely not even true? What's that quote of like, someone got pushed in the river, but you need to look upstream to see who pushed them in? And that's how I see news cycles. Who the fuck are pushing these people in to deliver this bad shit that and to me, it's at a point where they want, whoever they is, this fake ass shit wants you to be in this really scarcity mindset to control you. And I'm like, no, bitch, no one's fucking controlling me. This is my life. I have a choice and I get to choose what I see and what I experience, what my nervous system gets to live in. So it goes back to you have a choice. And this is something I have really had to practice. I always ask myself every day, what are my options? And when I tell you, my mindset coach literally had to tell me, Brytta, you need to ask yourself, what are your options? And he had to write down examples for me to even understand what that meant. Because I was like, what do you mean? Like, what are options? And that really helps me now in my business, in my life. What are 5 different things that could happen in this one scenario? And what is the best choice for me? And to me, what is the most loving choice? And that's the one I want to go for.
Yeah. Like, I think that it's a decision of like, I feel like when you're on a certain path of like practicing what feels good, you start to get more intuitive and you start to get a lot more like, yeah, I know this is where I'm meant to be. Like, I knew I had to be at the event that I went to yesterday. Like, I knew every part of my being knew it, and even though I don't really, I think you know this about me, but I don't really do like evening events. Like, I've just kind of like been like, nope, I don't want to have like any like commitments or anything like, but because like that's my time with my boyfriend, and he's here, he loves to cook, and then we take turns and stuff like that, and that's like a special moment, and that's kind of like where we are right now. And for me, it was like, okay, I want to go, and I want to go with you. And so he came with me, and we experienced that together, and it was amazing. So like I said, one of the best nights of my life. And I think a lot of people really get in their heads of like, what if I made the right choice? What if I made the wrong choice? All of that stuff. And
it's valid. It's human. We do this. I catch myself doing that. And it's like, can we stop labeling so much and just be here? Don't worry about that noise. Fuck that noise. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like Google Maps. If you were meant to be somewhere, there will be a rerouting eventually.
Yeah.
So one of those, it's it's that thing of like, what is for you will not pass you by.
It's
And
so true. Yeah.
yeah, it's really believing in that and trusting it. And because can you imagine going through life? There are people who just like, oh my God, should I have eaten this? Should I have done this before? And it's just like, oh my God, the overthinking and the overanalyzing and the perfectionism, and then the body starts to, feel ill and everything. And it's like, well, no wonder. There's no play, there's no excitement, there's no joy, there's no exploring, there's no curiosity. It's just like you're just judging yourself over and over and over and questioning. And I think that's something that we just need to kind of unplug from the perfectionism. This has to be this way. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I'm with you on that. Like something I do with my clients, because a lot of people in the wellness industry, we're all afraid of money because we just don't know enough about money. That's what it is. It's a lack of education. So we just give shit away for free, or we price things really low. And something I have my clients do, which they fucking hate and then they get results from it, is that I have them get on sales calls with people, not to get a sale or get a booking or get a client, but just to fucking do it. Just to do something that shakes you up a little and helps you just see yourself as human, and not, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. I'm like, just do it. Just get in the practice of it so that when you actually want to sell something one day, you had a little bit of practice at it. I remember the first time I taught my first solo yoga class and I forgot to teach the push-up planks. And after the class, I run up to my teacher and I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't teach the push-up planks. And she looks at me. She's like, I don't think anyone is going to be mad at you for skipping push-up planks in a yoga class. You did great. It's going to be fine. No one died. No one died in this class. It was fine. And it was like the me over analyzing rather than just the practicing teaching, the practicing selling. And I think it's, if we could get into this game of just trying things for the sake of trying it, not for the sake of getting an end result or making money or to like change ourselves, but like just like what happens if we try something new one time and then 2 times and then 5 times, and just do it as like a test to see like, can I show up in things that make me uncomfortable so that I can be a more abundant version of myself, or so that I can just be someone who tried something new. And then again, it goes back to like, what are my options?
Yeah, I love that. I love it because you reminded me of one time when I had a really unpleasant experience with this woman who was like, oh, I want to coach with you, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And like 15, 20 minutes into the coaching call, this had never, ever, ever happened to me in my entire life. And she goes, I need you to stop. And I was like, she's like, I don't feel comfortable right now. I don't feel safe. And to me, that was like, whoa, like I had never, ever heard that from a client. Like that's the reason why people hire me, because they feel safe with me, because they feel, that they can just be. And she was like, yeah, I don't like to be, she said something around like, I don't like to be told what to do, or I don't like to be, like, because when you're guiding people, through like exploring, the subconscious and stuff, you tell them what to do, quote unquote, right? You're guiding them, you're giving them directions. And so in that moment, I was like, I did not know what to say. So I was like, you got this. And so I walked myself through it, and I was like, okay. So she was like, I would like to end the call right now. Like, I'm like, that. It was like, boom. And I was like, okay. And she was like, and I would like a refund. And I was just like, okay, what is happening? And so long story super short, I was like, I really don't want this woman in my life ever again. Like, because I knew why she was asking for the refund.
Yeah.
Ever since we started, like she was always worried about like money, and like there was always like this hesitation, and just like, it was just like, wanting to like, and that's fine. That is totally fine. Like you can have your own experience, and like not everyone will be my client, right? Not everyone will resonate with my style of coaching.
And that is okay. Like I really just want to press on that. Not everyone is for you. And that is okay. Let them go, girl.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and in that moment I was like, you know what? I actually don't want to have any connection with this energy. Like it just felt off. And I was like, you know what? I will make an exception. I never do this, but I'll make an exception. Because I'd remembered other situations that other friends had where they were questioning me. Not questioning me, but like questioning themselves, should I give a refund? And I was like, why the fuck would you want to have that energy like with you? And so here I was being presented with the same opportunity to not have any attachment any connection with this energy because it just doesn't serve, it just doesn't serve her and it doesn't serve me. So I was like, yes, absolutely. And so I want to share this because one person out of hundreds of people that have felt safe, that have given me testimonials, that have told me, oh my God, Ana, like I have, like I've been with my therapist for 6 months, and with you in one session, we got deeper than I ever went in 6 months with him. Like stuff like that, that just like blows my mind. And then one person did this and my brain was just like, was trying to get obsessed and fixated with that. And I stopped myself and I was like, what am I doing? Like, really? One person over hundreds of people that I've helped and supported and guided and like that have gained so much benefit from our time together. And my boyfriend also came in and chimed in and he's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? He's like, why are you putting your energy in that one person versus like all these other people that had amazing experiences? He's a photographer and he's like, I have people that leave, bad reviews and I have people that leave amazing reviews, but like the amazing reviews are much more, there than the other ones. So he's like, fuck it. And I was like, you're right. So yeah. So this kind of circles back into what you were saying about like where you put your energy is very interesting. So for those of you who are listening, where are you putting your energy? The majority of your energy goes to A, things that you're not interested in having in your reality, or B, things that you are interested in having in your reality. And I can promise you that that if you're still complaining about like, I don't have my best life or whatever, you're probably doing A, pouring the majority of your energy in things that you don't want into your life. And honestly, that's why it's so simple, but it's complex.
I am with you on this wholeheartedly, where we're choosing to have our focus. And also, if you're a business owner and you are choosing to spend your whole day, your whole week on this one shit experience, wow, you just wasted all this time and energy of when you could be getting more money and getting more clients, doing what you love, what you are put on this planet to do because you chose to stay in this negative experience. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like if you're choosing to stay in toxic relationships or friendships or even work experiences, like you could choose that. And I get that there are circumstances like if it's a job, you need money and like you got to get a game plan to get out of there. I respect that. And like have enough respect for yourself to be like, you know what? This person's not for me. Let's just delete. Let's goodbye this situation. And that's okay. I've had this situation as well. It's like I've had dozens, if not, I think I've had around like, I'd say 500 clients by now. And then out of those 500, I have had one who did the exact same thing. And it was much more brutal, like cussing me out on a call. They were not a grounded individual. And I immediately was like, you know what? I will refund you because this actually doesn't work for me. I don't enjoy being cussed out on a call when I'm teaching you how to run a yoga business. This is not it. And it was so beautiful to witness myself be like, this is not for me. Because if you can be in a place where you are, I don't even want to say it's confident. It's like you are grounded enough in your knowledge and your education and your knowing of what you're doing in your business, then let the people go who are not for you to make space for the people who are. Because if you're holding on to that negativity, girl, there is no space to call in what is actually for you. So like make the space in your business and your life so that you can have what is for you coming in. And I promise you, this is going to ripple out into every part of your life. And what Ana just shared of like this exact experience, it's the example of how you show up for everything in your life. So if it's not working, make the space for it to leave so you can bring in what does, period.
Yeah, because what I was thinking about when you were saying that, like, what if you would have said, no, there's no refund? Like, imagine having to deal with them like over and over and over, like emails. Some people like sometimes do like lawsuits over like stupid shit. And it's just like, you know what? No. Like, and this is where you like realize like my energy is so valuable and like everyone else's energy is valuable. It's literally like this resource that we have and something that we're constantly investing and pouring into things. Why would I choose to invest it in somebody who is not interested in me? I am not interested in them. Like, just just like break the ties. Yeah, exactly. Like, peace out, man. It is all good. I will break my rules to not have to pour more energy into this, because it was a follow-up of messages of like, when is my refund and when is this? And it's like, I was like, wow, like it was after it happened, I was like, this was truly a gift, because it allowed me to align with what I do want versus with what I no longer want, because I don't tolerate this type of stuff that's just like, guess what? I didn't like this. I want a refund. To me, it's like, I signed up for this. I chose it. This person is giving me their time. If I don't enjoy it, I'm not going to ask for a refund. That's what I would do, And to me, I don't want to work with people who just can't hold themselves responsible and are like, yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. I'm like, okay, I disagree, but whatever, So when the values with your client and you are not in alignment, why would you want to work with somebody like that? That is like, you're in relationship with them. And I think that's what a lot of business owners don't get. It's not about the money. It's about like the constant exchange that you're having.
It is a relationship. And I always tell my clients this: your clients are who you were 6 to 12 months ago. And if you are not someone who is asking for all these refunds and wasting people's time and energy, then that isn't your client at all. Who are you 6 to 12 months ago? Because you should be teaching your clients how to get to where you are at today. That's why you're the expert at what you do. So if you didn't act like that in a past life, then definitely this person acting this way is not for you. This is not who you were in any time in your life, therefore goodbye.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
I am so happy that we just did this episode today. I'm so happy that like we brought very real life examples of things that have happened in our life and our business, so that people can see that these are very human things that happen and that it's all a choice. Can you share with us, if we want to work with you, like how do we work with you? Is it online? Is it in person? And where can we find you?
Yeah, so I work online. And I do facilitate workshops, retreats, events. I do get hired pretty much. If you want me to fly to the other side of the world, I will, just with anticipation. I don't mind that. But yeah, you can find, I think the best way to go is to my Instagram. And then if you go to my link tree, everything comes up, my website, my offerings, everything. And I like to send my client, potential clients, people who are interested over there, because you get a feel for me. You get to see videos of me. You get to see what I'm about. You get to see my vibe, and you get to know what I'm about, and to see if you feel like it's relatable. But yeah, Instagram I think would be the best way. So I'll just give you, my Instagram, and you can share it, I guess, in
the show notes.
Yeah, the show notes.
Perfect. Well, thank you for being on here today. I just adore you. I can't wait to see you in a few weeks in Portugal. And thank you for everyone who's listening too. All of Ana's details will be in the show notes. And I'll also have a post of her on my Instagram and in my email newsletter, so you have multiple ways to find her. If you are a women-run business and want to be featured as a commercial on the Yes podcast, then send an email to Brytta@BryttaMareda.com or check the show notes to get the details. Thank you for listening to the Your Entrepreneurship School podcast. If funding your life abroad sounds like something you want to do, then check out the show notes to find out ways we can work together. If you feel called to leave a review, then you can find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. I'll see you on our next episode, where we will expand our business bank accounts in brilliance without settling for a life that tames us, all while saying yes to our wildest dreams.